Back on Christmas morning at Inside Tennessee, Rudolph and Frosty among our guests. Great to have both of you with us. And
you had to think of something because I messed up and wore blue.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. The politician of the year, the winner for 2022. It can be somebody that you repeated, but it can be somebody new. Susan, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to have to say again, Governor Ron DeSantis. I mean, I go back to politically what he did, which I thought was pretty astounding. He is a conservative, but he has a lot of common sense. And we invited him to come to Knoxville to do a fundraiser for him for governor. And I'll tell you, he's impressive. He said it's common sense things and the way he governs. But above all that, too, they had a huge hurricane in Florida, if you remember, Hurricane Ian. And I thought he handled that as well as any I've ever seen. He had the bridges that were washed out back in 3 or 4 days. People were going back to their islands. And
also welcome President Biden.
He did that. They set aside that. I just think he's the guy that can beat Trump and be elected president.
Don, you're winner overall in 2022.
For the same reasons I picked Pelosi and Schumer, my national winners, President Joe Biden. Really, in terms of getting his party together, keeping them together along with Pelosi and Schumer's help, getting the legislation passed, working across the aisle to the degree he could. It's not much, but he took every inch he could. He really did a good job of governing. People say he's sleepy, he's not in charge, he's not doing it. They're wrong. He really is governing, and he's done a very good job. It's going to be a challenge the next 2 years, though.
You predicted Senate Dems 51-52. You did.
Called that one.
You were on it. And Susan, you predicted Pete Buttigieg would be a winner in 2022. I think a lot of people would guess that as well.
He will, if he doesn't mess up poorly, he ought to continue to do well and sort of build his case for being presidential material in the future. I was just going to throw out one more. As a journalist, I've appreciated what the January 6th House Committee has done in terms of being diligent and trying to expose the truth from the January 6th riots.
Susan, your overall loser of 2022.
Well, I would probably have to say Joe Biden. Honestly, you're right. He survived it, but look at gas prices, look at inflation, look at what's happened at the southern border. I mean, honestly, y'all, we have been through chaos, not only the COVID and the pandemic and the health issues that we went through at the first of the year, but all of these other things. And I'm going to lay them at the feet of the president because the buck does stop there.
You're a loser.
I'll push back on gas prices and inflation. That's macro, and that is not on President Biden. The border we can agree on. That said, my loser, no question, Donald Trump. The shine has worn off, and you look at the politicians that he endorsed, Kerry Lake in Arizona, like Susan mentioned, Herschel, Oz. I mean, they dropped like flies all over the country the minute Trump touched them.
You predicted it would be Donald Trump because of the January 6th commission in last year. And Susan, you predicted it would be the Republican Party based on the high court decision. Many people would say both of you were spot on. Let's move quickly to your issue of 2022. Don, what was it for you?
It's women's reproductive health rights and health care, and really the Dobbs decision. Nationally, what's happened also statewide with the abortion ban. It really is the hot button issue for the year, and I don't see how you can think anything else.
Susan?
Certainly with me, I predicted that would be our issue last year. It would hurt our party, and it did, and it has, and it will probably continue to do so in Tennessee. You know, we're going to have to see what happens with the legislature.
Part of Don's prediction last year at this time, John, was the misinformation about the stolen election. You were crediting the January 6th Commission with helping shed some light on what happened.
You know, yeah, they used up, I mean, a lot of those people were like, well, my career is done after I do this. Liz Cheney obviously lost her seat as a result. And yet you know, again, as a journalist and as an American who cares a lot about this country, they're to be lauded for what they did, in my opinion.
I'm curious about, you mentioned Liz Cheney. Is she a political winner or loser based on what happened this year?
Short-term loser, long-term winner.
I would say loser. Period.
Overall, yeah, period. All right, well.
Wow, that's what integrity gets you, huh?
Next week, the predictions for what will come in the year that is 2023.
Oh,
from
how can it
Susan,
be?
Don, and some perspective from my colleague John North. As always, we appreciate you watching on Inside Tennessee. We hope you have a Merry Christmas, and if you've missed some of our previous episodes of Inside Tennessee, you can always find them on the Inside Tennessee page at WBIR.com. We hope you take a breath, enjoy the start to the new year, and go Vols. Yes, by Friday we'll know.
Ho, ho, ho.
Quick prediction, score?
35-28 Tennessee.
Oh, 42-28 Tennessee.
I'm probably not real hopeful for the Vols.
What? What?
We needed the Grinch.
You're such
It's been a pleasure
Grinch.
working with you, John. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.